Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Julian Shannon. I'm a geophysical data scientist here at Bluware, and we're joined today by our Chief Product Officer, Mr. Andy James. So Andy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
I've had 30 years in the industry, over 30 years now. All oil and gas, all technology related as well. So I've seen a lot of changes over the time that we've had throughout the industry, and it's been really exciting.
Oh, it's wonderful. And that kind of speaks to the myriad of different changes we've observed over the past few years, right? We've had the shale revolution, and more recently we've had the digital revolution or digital transformation. We have a myriad of different societal as well as macroeconomic factors. We need to do more with less, but we also need to think about our environment. I know that the industry has been a little averse to standardizations, right? So how does something like the OSDU, the Open Subsurface Data Universe, kind of help address that or start tackling that?
Yeah, you bring up some really interesting points. If you look at a lot of the innovation in the industry, it's really been towards that shale focus. A lot of the big challenges facing us are really reinvigorating exploration.
Right.
If you think about the core business of oil and gas companies, it's around creating assets, exploiting those assets, and managing them through their life cycle, not managing IT infrastructure.
Right.
And if you look at how the cloud has evolved, the opportunity to offload all of that infrastructure, it can be quite liberating and quite agile in terms of the workflow. So for instance, if you need to evaluate a new technology, it's simply a case of starting up a new computer in the cloud that has the capability of doing that. Previously, that would mean convincing procurement to buy a system for you to deploy it.
Right.
So the ability to be more agile in the workplace and not look at standing up a data center as your core business is really quite liberating.
Right. And kind of speaking towards that, right? As you start liberating the data, sure, there may be some internal standards that people have worked through quite a bit to kind of develop that sort of competitive edge. But now with something like the OSDU, it really opens up that whole field of different and new possibilities. And now they can start talking to different applications, things that may be available in the cloud, like you mentioned, right? How is the cloud also driving that and helping us achieve some of those goals?
Yeah. While the OSDU is a technology platform for storing data, it's actually an opportunity for people to come together and collaborate.
Right.
And we've seen more and more that the operators are realizing the power of actually working together and consolidating around standards. That enables the innovation of technology and software products to evolve much faster. So instead of developing a product to suit 10 people, we're now really able to support and build a product that supports just one common set of standards. And that will only have a result of accelerating innovation as more and more people adopt the OSDU and adopt some of the standards that are forming in the industry.
I see. And that sort of also speaking towards that, right? 10 users now to many more. It kind of goes back to that scalability, right? The cloud is really a large driver behind that, enabling people to scale up for any kind of business unit, correct?
Yeah, and the key to this is embracing things. If you think about 25 years ago, there's not a single person that would have used online banking. If you talk to an oil and gas company about 3 or 4 years ago, there was no way they were going to put their crown jewels data into the cloud.
Right.
But that attitude is changing now, and there is momentum gaining towards moving their data into the cloud, to begin that migration, to start integrating their existing systems. And so it's a really exciting time to be moving there. And the ones that move sooner are going to gain the most momentum.
I see.
One company that we know of was forced to move because of a local emergency, flooding in the Houston area. And what it's given them is a huge amount of advantage in terms of their ability to implement new technologies.
Right.
So it's pretty exciting.
But now we're kind of having this new system with OSDU, which is kind of like this accelerated, more nimble, more scalable checkout of data, right? And you were talking about new technology. So we've heard the big buzzword, right? I'm sure that everyone has heard AI, artificial intelligence. We're seeing it implemented not just across different sorts of applications, but also on a variety of different data sets. And how do you see AI impacting the future of how we do day-to-day operations, specifically within our industry? Is it reducing costs? Is it being more efficient? How is it affecting that?
Yeah, I would disagree that AI is a buzzword. It's becoming more and more mainstream. You only have to pick up your cell phone and know that you can put a keyword search for bicycle, and all of your photos have been pre-tagged using AI for which one's a bicycle.
Right.
Okay. And that's a benefit of having your data or all your photos in the cloud. They're being tagged and cataloged in the background. So it's certainly mainstream.
Right.
The applicability of that to scientific-based applications, particularly the exploration of oil and gas assets, is really pertinent. Oil and gas companies have less time, and they're expected to do more. They're expected to increase certainty and reduce the cycle time of asset development. And these tools can offload a huge amount of work. For example, locating shallow hazards or injectites or different formations in the subsurface. The companies that will have the advantage are not the companies that are developing AI solutions. The real challenge with AI is not just developing it, it's productizing it and making it available to end users. And that's where AI struggles to get from the R&D lab into the hands of users. But with commercial applications, such as our interactive AI product, companies can get started today. They can use that innovative technology, accelerate their workflows without having to really understand what data science is or what deep learning really is. These tools exist.
Exactly. And building off of that, how is AI, cloud, all of these new technologies playing in the sustainability space, right? We're seeing new kind of business opportunities evolving, especially in CCS and geothermal. We're expected to be more cautious and understand more about our environment and make it a better place for all of society. How are those technologies playing into that space?
Yeah, the world is changing. And if you think about the needs of human beings across the planet, there's three factors that come in, the three E's, if you like.
Okay.
We have energy and the need for energy. We have the environment and what is the impact of spending that energy on the environment. And then there's the economy, the economics of things. How much are we willing to spend to consume different portfolios of energy in order to save the environment? And those are balancing acts, right? And they're a really difficult juggling act to have right now. And as oil and gas companies reinvent themselves to be broader and generic energy companies that provide a balance of sustainable future fuel sources, the need for not competing around technology excellence, I believe, is much greater. There's a bigger call in, and it's saving the planet and enabling us to evolve the way we use energy. And why should we compete over that?
Exactly.
That's something we should be collaborating on throughout the industry. So.
And that's kind of how the OSDU enables that, right? Is having that sort of standard to enable that collaboration, make it more available upfront and easy to use.
Yeah, well, if you think about all asset development, whether it's oil and gas or wind farms or carbon capture, they're generally done in partnerships with companies. If all of those companies are using the same underlying data storage platform, using tools and collaborating should become very simple. When they're all using proprietary systems, it becomes very difficult. It's just natural, really.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Andy. It's been a pleasure learning from you, working on a lot of new and exciting technologies. So we appreciate your time for sharing your perspectives.
Thanks, Julian. I appreciate the time.
If you enjoyed this episode, give us a like and be sure to check out the next video.